Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests. Welcome to this event for the 8th Annual Oakville Film Festival and OFFA 2021. My name is Tyler Collins. I'm the arts reporter for Oakville News and oakvillenews.org. You can read us for free every day online at oakvillenews.org. I have the pleasure of being your host for this scheduled event today, and if you've been enjoying OFFA events, we are halfway through the day. We've had 2 features this morning. We have 2 more coming up later tonight. But for this ticket, you have just had the pleasure of seeing 2 shorts and an excellent feature film. We have people from the cast and crew of all 3 projects joining us for a live Q&A tonight. Joining me, as always, is Executive Director Wendy Donnan. And then we have talent from all of the features with us. First, our short Hekademia. We have writer, director, and producer Gloria Mercer. Next, we also have producer Andy Wong.
Hi.
Also here is executive producer of The Long Way, Dale Andrews.
Hello, Oakville.
And last but certainly not least, joining us all the way from Brussels tonight, in a completely different time zone, we have the 2 stars of Alice. We have got, playing Alice and Francois, Emilie Piponnier and Martin Swabey. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are glad to have you. Before we get started, just a reminder for our audience, this is a live Q&A event that is happening right now. So as you've just finished watching the movies, if you have any questions that you would like to ask anyone on our panel tonight, over here on the right-hand side of the screen is a question box that you can type in your questions and they'll get sent directly to us so we can ask them on your behalf. No, that's everything I have to say. I suppose that's all of it. So let's start with you, Emilie and Martin. We're glad to have you with us this evening. Tell us, this film was shot and released 2 years ago for its first time, but this is one of the first chances people in Canada are having to see the movie. What's it like coming back and seeing the project 2 years later, as opposed to when it first came out?
It's really cool to know that the film is leaving and also that people very far away can see it. I mean, so yeah, it's really, but it's also weird because it's
yeah, there's kind of water under the bridge since then, but
yeah, but it was such a weird and intense and great adventure for all of the team and for us too. So that's always, it's part of our life. So it's really cool to know that people in Canada can discover it. Yeah.
Now, one of the things some audiences likely don't know is the 2 of you have a real life relationship outside of the movie.
Indeed.
Yeah, actually, after the movie. We
shacked up.
It was after the movie.
Yeah.
At magic on set. So that must have been a lot. That must have been so different, meeting each other on set, portraying this husband and wife relationship that's quite brutally intense and goes through a lot of wild changes.
Aren't all relationships like that? No, sorry.
Maybe, well, not quite that intense or gravely, conflict inducing. It is true. There is some of that to all relationships. So what was it like starting yours in real life after going through the process of having this fake relationship on camera?
It was like, I don't know. We are so, I mean, especially Martin, we're so different people than our character. I don't know. It was really intense. We met in the work, and then when the film was finished, we just wanted to talk about this experience to each other. And then, but on set, obviously, it was Martin was so different than Francois, so it's kind. it was not even weird. It's just that,
and it's probably kind of cathartic to go through all of the real shit first, because it allows you to just kind of be like, hey, so we're cool, right? And then I don't know. Yeah.
We actually just got in our first question from the audience. We have an unnamed audience member asking what it was like playing these roles specifically, and in particular, addressing the tension that your characters held for most of the film.
Comment tu te sentais par rapport à la tension palpable qu'il y avait entre ces personnages? Qu'est-ce que...
It was very demanding, actually, very intense all the way. It was, I gave a lot of, I was always looking for the truth on set with the director, with Josephine, and also with Martin. And I had maybe 3 weeks to prepare this role, because I came, the shooting was already scheduled, and I went in the project just only 3 or 1 month before. So on set it was really demanding, and I was always very concentrated, and also we had to be very confident, to trust each other, because it went very far away, especially some scene. I mean, you've seen the movie, and so we at a moment we had only 1 week or 2 weeks to just talk to each other and to know each other. And also with Jules, the child, Josephine's son, actually, who played our child. And so on set we had to be very with the trust. And one time Martin just asked me, can I go further? Can I really go? And I said, okay, yes, you can go. But it was always like that. We had to trust each other to do the scene.
Because we started with the real nitty gritty, all of the real kind of huis clos scenes. We started with those because I'd been prepping. I'd been losing all of my kilos and all of my weight. So it was kind of, we had to start with the moment when Francois reemerges in Alice's life. I think Emilie had 1 shooting day before that. So just to kind of get a feel for the character, and she'd been prepping, helping doing the rehearsals and the casting for all of the secondary characters. But at the same time, it was for her, it was, jumping in the deep end. And I'd done loads and loads of pre-work. And because Josephine is very open to kind of our input as well. So we did change certain things. And for example, Francois wasn't actually supposed to go for the rape or for the attempted kind of, normally they were just supposed to fight and it was supposed to go too far. And that was one of the moments when I kind of asked if it would be okay with Emilie, with Josephine, if we went for that. And then even after we started going for that, when I grabbed her arm and stuff, that was on the 4th take when I said, okay, we'd opened up and it had started to become something that was truly gritty. But then I asked her if I could go further, and she said, yeah, sure, she trusted me. So we went for it. And I think that was, it was important to also, it's, no joke, no lie, a real poignant movie or drama of any kind really works when it's truthful, when people just open up those floodgates and just fucking go for it. Pardon my French.
Well, it's interesting you bring up this scene, especially trying to go, when you're talking about going further on. That was the turning point for me in the whole film. When I saw it, I was beginning to empathize with Francois again, hooked on the question, is there some common ground they're going to be able to find? And when we got to the fight, where after you grabbed her and tried to rape her, all respect was gone once again for Francois. And I thought, no, it's definitive. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
I'd like to move on to our 2 shorts that we had paired with this. And at first I found it strange that these were all together. But the more I kept watching, the more I thought there's a real connection about going beyond to and looking ahead to the future, what it is that we're trying to do next. And that was a commonality between all three of the features. So let's start with our team from Hekademia, both Gloria and Andy. Talk to us about the concept of your movie and where it came from.
Sure. Thanks for having us also. So Hekademia, I wrote it and had been kind of developing the concept, and it's got a lot going on in it, which is sort of a bad habit I have with short films, is like cramming a lot of crap in there. But in terms of the future, and I mean, obviously there's the sort of like VR, heightened reality aspect of it, and like that technological thing. But I think for me, like the big thing at the center of it was just like the grief and the feelings of like struggling to connect with this really large sentiment about how to deal with like the changing earth, like being, you know, isolated because of, in this example, climate change. Fun fact, we also made this film in 2019 before the pandemic, and it became remarkably prescient, unfortunately. So yeah, so I guess for me, it was like not just making a movie about climate change, but also making a movie which is about other things, but like was about this teenage girl's grief and her like struggling to address those feelings and kind of the different ways she tries to reach out to people and reach out in this like virtual world. Yeah, so as I said, there's too much going on probably, but that was where I came to it from. Andy, I don't know if you want to talk about what drew you to the story. And
yeah, what drew me to the story was this idea that our reliance on technology ends up adding a bit of loneliness and isolation to our lives, this bit of disconnection where you're not exactly sure if the people that you meet online are ultimately people who are actually your friends, as our protagonist soon finds out at the end of the film. And so like that really struck a chord with me, and that's why I was really interested in working with Gloria on this project, because I personally feel that way sometimes. And I'm confident that this is something that other people feel as well. So it's a very universal type of story right now.
Now, Gloria, you mentioned how you also filmed this in 2019 and how there's kind of a new hidden meaning because what it means to live virtually has changed over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. Tell us how people are resonating or experiencing the story differently now, living in the post-COVID world. How has that changed and evolved over time?
Yeah, well, it's so like our first screening was in 2020, but like I said, like we shot it in 2019, had like a slightly longer post process, and then like screened in October of 2020, so well into pandemic. And it is like, I think in particular, like what really breaks my heart is just like how much the pandemic has affected like sort of the central like teenagers basically, which is who, you know, the movie is about, a teenage girl. And it's been so heartbreaking, like, because I think, you know, the film is about like being robbed. I mean, this girl is robbed of her youth in a way. And I think that's something that just like, for me, like it made me think about the pandemic aspect. In terms of how people are connecting, I think like some younger viewers have definitely connected to that just because of the like very unfortunate circumstances of like, you know, virtual school and all these things that, you know, have to happen. I'm not knocking them, but it is like we've lost a whole year and change. So yeah, so I think like people have connected to it in that way, especially I think teenagers. I don't know, Andy, have you encountered anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. And to add to that, like I think what's changed from 2019 to COVID world is that even before this message was had some parallels in just the seek for likes and whatnot on social media, but now it's like taking a whole nother meaning behind it, because now we're actually in the world where kids are going to school using virtual ways. So that I think has been like the biggest change on how this story is perceived, I think, for me personally at least.
And also from another angle, we're in Vancouver right now, Andy and I, which is where the movie was filmed, and it is so hot. We are going through this heat wave, and it is scary to see it feels like our summers are getting hotter. So from that perspective as well, it's kind of unfortunately relevant.
Well, let's move on to our second short. We have Dale Andrews here with us from The Long Way. Tell us about what the inception point for this short was. Where did the idea originate from to tell the story of the car ride?
First off, I'll apologize if I go out, those that are watching from South Oakville, that's where I am right now, and internet's notoriously terrible here. Anyways, the story kind of came from this idea that the director Michelle Love Santoro had with the writer Chelsea Sutton, and I kind of got involved in the production when she first came and said, "Okay, here's this idea I have for this story." And Michelle's one of our friends from our group of people that do filmmaking, and she's based out of LA. And she came to actually evolved quite a bit in the time before it actually got filmed. So it actually had 10 different versions of the script, and it went through a lot of revisions. And Michelle and I met a few times. Like I said, I'm in Oakville, and we met a few times actually in LA when I was out there. And she actually went through the story with me several times. And it was just a story about memories and kind of reliving them and kind of taking life, taking a hold of life, and kind of not wasting it away. And that was the whole point. I think it came out really, really well.
Now, here's a fun fact that definitely nobody is going to know. The actor who played the elderly woman, the unnamed mother in the film, you have a special relationship with her. That's your real life mom.
That's not actually my real life mom.
That's not?
No. How that got out there. That is not. My mother is actually involved in this film. She was one of the executive producers with me actually on this film.
Oh, she was a producer on the film.
Yes, she's 81 years old, and she was one of the producers on this film.
So what was it like co-producing a film with your mother?
It's great because she just gave me all the control. So she just wanted to be involved in something, and as she kind of, and I thought that was really a really great thing for her to be, as she's at that stage, my parents are at that stage where it's like there's lots of that have and so she wanted to just kind of be part of it and kind of support what I do. I mean, it was such a different thing from what I normally from as you know, I mean, I make horror films. This is not a horror film. It was a horror feature was the last thing that came out. So for me, it was a completely different thing to be involved in, and I just loved it. And I think that mother as one of the executive producers on it was just a fun thing to be to do at this point.
Now, the balance of what it means to have your child and balancing the relationship as a parent is critical, of course, in The Long Way, but it also plays a secondary part to both Alice and Hekademia too. I'd love to hear from the others what it's like working with kids and what they brought that was unique to your motion pictures. Now, Emilie, I know you were describing earlier working with Jules, and the young man who played Jules in the film, he's not a minor character in this. He is a significant part of both stories. So what was it like working on set with him?
He's the endangered innocent, isn't he?
He's a nice kid. So it was sometimes it was not easy because he knew that her mother was, directing. So, and he ate a lot of bread, and he had a lot of gifts like dinosaurs and things, but but it was really spontaneous, and it was a pleasure because it's like, for us, I had to be in the present. I mean, we always say that for, I don't know, animals and kids on set, but it's so true. And you have to, he has to forget that the camera is here, and it's his rhythm. We have to do with him. So from certain scenes, for one scene particularly where he has to cry, the poor baby, it was like, it was tired, it was at the end of the day, and so we didn't have what we wanted to have. So it was like, okay, it's the end of the day, and it was like, I'm hungry and so it was like, he hasn't had the bread or the chocolate or something really quickly, so it was beginning to cry, and so we were like, okay, let's go, let's put the camera on and let's shoot now because he's ready. So well, sometimes it was like, oh my god, poor Jules, but it was it was really nice, and we had this great connection between. It was really, yeah, a pleasure, and we really had to be, in the present, and it was, yeah, kind of nice to be with him. We had wonderful connection also with you. So I had the chance just before the shooting to be with him and to go for a walk, to speak with him, and to know each other. So it was like, yeah, it was a great connection. So yeah.
Gloria, what was it like directing some of the teenage performers in your film? How does it change when you're working with teenage talent?
I mean, it's funny because I've worked with kids who are younger, like, 8, 9, whatever. And like these two girls, they don't necessarily look young, but they are both like 16, I think at the time, or maybe 17. So they were young. But like, I feel like I have nothing to say because they were both amazing. Like they were just like, they were both so strong. And so just like, I don't know, like very willing to just like try new things and professional. And it was, Emma is the lead, she's Marion, and it was her first, like basically her first movie. I think she's done theater, like sort of high school theater and that stuff, but so she was like, I was just so impressed by her. And then Serena has done a little more stuff and she also dances, but yeah, in terms of what it was like directing them, like, I don't know. I mean, we just like, maybe with Emma and to some degree Serena, there was a little bit more like sort of explaining the process, but they were both like, I mean, we rehearsed, so we got time to rehearse and to go through stuff, but they both just were amazing. And like, they really like, and we were out in the boonies, like we were in, like an hour and a half outside of Vancouver in Chilliwack, and just shooting on this farm. And it was like so hot and like a hard shoot, like stuff goes wrong when you have no Wi-Fi and and stuff like that. But they were both just like, yeah, they were like very professional, and I'm really happy because I think Emma is, continuing to pursue acting, and Serena is also doing so. I don't know, Andy, like if I thought they were both amazing, and I'm really excited to see them do more stuff.
Absolutely, I completely agree. They were super professional, and especially for Emma's like first time, she was so pro that like anything you asked her to do, she would do it amazingly.
I mean, we walked through some little camera things, like, but really quickly, like it was like by day 3 or 4, because it was like a 5-day shoot, like, little things like just learning how, like blocking in film obviously is a little different than theater, and like, and working with cameras, like those things were new to her, but she just really adapted so quickly. So she made my job very easy.
Well, we are almost out of time for this one, but we have one more question coming in. This is from Harriet Baker. She's applauding all of you on the work of your films and the strength of your messages, as diverse as they are. I'd like to just go around one at a time and hear from everybody what it is you hope the audience takes away and what it is they're trying to hear based on the work of your movie. In short, what is it you're trying to say and hope the audience walks away from? Let's start, Emilie and Martin.
for me, it's like, I mean, I haven't written it, of course, but as the actress, I loved in the film, I want really that it's the strength of this woman. Actually, it's what is it to when we are fully and truly ourselves, and sometimes it's difficult to know it, and sometimes we need years and years to know it. And this woman particularly, she took time to know it, and sometimes it's because we have something really painful or something really who came in our life. But it's in Alice, I think the most important thing is how we can be get out strength with strength from something really painful, or how we can meet ourselves in something hard.
And for me, it's more. For me, it was more. I love indie cinema. I love, real. In Europe, we've got a system where basically there's not very much private funding, right? So you have to always get the state approval with a special stamp and stuff like that, which is absolutely fantastic, but it takes years. It takes fucking years. You have to, it can take a real 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And it's already hard enough as it is to be a film producer, director, involved in this kind of biz, that when you have something that is this uncut but so beautifully poignant, so strong, just fucking go for it, and because I met Josephine in Cannes, and then in the December after that, she suggested that I read the screenplay, and I was like, okay, fuck yeah, all right, let's just fucking do it. We'll think afterwards. And I think that coming from a guerrilla indie place, it's so important to also be part of something that can really connect with people, and to know that when you do something that is really strong, that will happen. It's also, we got lucky, as you have to get lucky, but it was really nice to see that we could be part of something that would move so many people, because it's also, we're in a time when we need more and more to reassert what it is that keeps us as a society moving forwards. And this is the kind of movie that helps people change their mindset. So, yeah.
Well said. Gloria and Andy. Gloria and Andy, what do you hope people take away from the film?
Well, with all my films, I tend to try to, what I say, complicate the idea of a strong female character. So, and with this film in particular being from a teenage girl's perspective, I think for me, it was just about sort of creating a complex representation of the emotional, inner workings of a teenage girl, and how they deal with, like I said, climate change, heartbreak, first love, knowing how to kind of talk through these feelings. So I think just, and in particular, when I was writing the film, I think a big reason why I wanted to write it is because in social science fiction films, which is kind of what I call social science fiction, it's so often, nothing wrong with this, but it's so often a heterosexual male perspective of just we see feminized robots, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to try to make something that was a little bit outside of that, and then, have people, I guess, kind of reconsider or just consider what this real fully fledged character is like. And I come from a character perspective always with my films. So just trying to, as Emilie said, try to have truth, and that's me.
really wanted to support Gloria on what she was doing because I saw all of that in the script.
Aw.
And I was like, yeah, this needs to be out there. But also, as I said earlier, just that just that understanding that sometimes when you're when so much is digital, it's often common to feel like you're kind of alone in the world. And I think the more people understand that, the more people will be able to reach out to other people and find that unity, find that connection with each other through this common hurt, I guess, if that makes any sense.
And last but certainly not least, Dale.
I think for me, it comes down to, cherish the moments. They slip away too fast.
Well, one of the connecting lines that's clear from all three pieces of work, I think, goes back to what, Emilie, you were saying about what it means to authentically find ourselves and accept and live in that too. And even better still, the final shot of Alice when Francois is in the empty apartment holding the Post-it. I forget what it says in French, but the English translation and the subtitle for the film, "Let's Start Anew." And I think that so beautifully sums up the work of what all five of you did on your three projects. What does it take to really start anew? And I think it was a beautiful thing to see all of them together here. That's all for this ticket today. Please join me in thanking all of the artists who are here with us today. Emilie Piponnier, Martin Swabey, Gloria Mercer, Andy Wong, Dale Andrews, to all of you from exotic locales like Brussels, Vancouver, and the very exotic South Oakville. We are so glad to have had all of you with us here tonight. We are so grateful to have had you participate, not just in our Q&A today, but also with your films in the festival this year. Now, if you, the audience, is joining us, the OFFA fun does not stop here today. We have two more events taking place later tonight. In 10 minutes, we are beginning the screening of Elevation Pictures' French Exit, starring Academy Award nominees Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges. That starts in 10 minutes and tickets are still available. You can get them at www.offa.ca, along with tickets and passes for all the events coming up over the course of the week. And then at 10 p.m. tonight, our last film in our 5-ticket marathon today is the French film Mathieu Thierry's Méandre. That was a pre-taped Q&A that we would love to have you watch later this evening. But there are still great events Sunday and beyond to the rest of the festival. And last but not least, all the films you just watched, both shorts and Alice, are eligible for the Audience Choice Prize. Down at the bottom of your screen, there is a rating system of 1 to 5 stars. Simply click on the title of the film you just watched here, and then rate it 1 to 5 at the bottom. And as you can see, Martin really wants you to vote for Alice so they can win the ultra important Audience Choice Award. But no bias whatsoever in his choice.
Whatsoever, of course not.
Folks, that is going to do it for this ticket of OFFA 2021. As always, we are so grateful to have had Tori Nixon running our technical production for us, and our friend Wendy Donnan, who is joining us as well. My friends, stay home, stay safe. We are so glad you joined us for the virtual event today. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend and the rest of OFFA 2021. For Oakville News and OFFA, my name is Tyler Collins. It's been my pleasure to be hosting. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.